Hi, my name is Katie, and I'm going to talk about the coding, tabulation, and analysis of our survey. These are the results of the first 5. So, only 2 people of all the surveys that we conducted had no interest in maintaining the environment at all. A majority of the people do visit parks. We noticed that primarily they do visit Mill Creek Park, but 2 of them did say that they visited Wick Park. 50% of those surveyed are regular visitors, and roughly 40% of people visit once or twice a month. It just depends, and 10% said that they didn't visit at all. Of the people who said they didn't visit, it was primarily because they didn't have a lot of time. And then roughly 60% of people said that the parks themselves do have an influence on visiting them. For example, like me personally, I do know a lot of people who choose Mill Creek Park because they feel like it's safer than Wick Park, for example. The results of the second 5 I'm going to talk about next. So, roughly 42% of people said that the parks were nice, and 24% said that they definitely could need some improvement. 4 surveys that we surveyed said that the parks seem to be very run down, and they need more funding, and they also need to go with someone to feel safe. Only 5 total surveys knew about these beautification processes, and that there were these efforts to make these parks better. 2/3 of those surveyed said that they noticed change, while 20% said that they didn't notice or see any change in these parks. Next, I'm going to continue talking about the results of the second 5. So, over half of people do believe that the results are being used, that the budget is being used correctly, and 30% of people said that they were unsure that the budget was used correctly, and I would say that would be because they didn't have a lack of knowledge of the beautification process. One survey said that yes, they thought it was being used correctly, but they were just becoming concerned that maybe there was some overspending issues. Next, over 2/3 of people said their mind would not change whether it was coming from tax dollars or donations. One survey said that it would just show that people would care, and another survey said that it would just help to motivate donations. And I'm going to now talk about the results of the final 5 questions on the survey. 2/3 of surveys again said that their minds wouldn't change depending on where the donations are coming from. One survey mentions budgets are rarely being used wisely, which that's a very strong opinion, and I'm sure that they have a reason for that. And one survey said using taxes seems forced, which I could pretty much understand that, because if you don't go to the parks and stuff, then you're being forced to pay for it, so that's understandable. And then roughly 40% of people wanted more security at the parks, which that would be a good thing, just to feel more safe and secure at these parks. Also, more activities, better maintenance, flower beds, information boards, and bike lanes. This, I feel like, would help to increase participation and get more people in these parks. And then 4 surveys were just happy with the parks and felt that they were just fine as is. More is 2/3 of the people surveyed said that if the parks did include their suggestions, they would attend more, which, going back, thinking about it, adding bike lanes, adding more activities, things like that, it makes the parks more marketable, it makes people want to attend them more, so I could definitely understand that. And roughly 2/3 of the survey said that they didn't recycle, which, that's, if you think about it, 2/3 saying that they don't, that's only 1/3 of people saying that they do recycle, so that's interesting to know that only 33% of those surveyed do recycle. And one person even said that recycling wasn't useful and they didn't feel like there was a reason for it, which was interesting. And now I'm going to conclude. A majority of people enjoy the parks and they want to see improvements. Our groups definitely feel like the beautification processes definitely did have an effect. Although there's still room for improvement, the parks are constantly improving every day with these beautification efforts and things, so that would be great for Youngstown. Just to talk about everything that we talked about throughout this presentation, we discussed the idea behind the process of our research, the construction of our interview guide, the finding appropriate questions to ask on our surveys, our methods of conducting, and the results of our survey. Hopefully now you do your park and you go visit some parks. Thank you.